10 or 5. Yeah.
Thank you, Christine. Appreciate it. Christine, so really thankful for you to putting this thing together. Actually, it's a good initiative by the Khalifa Fund to understand what the situation is, especially if you're involved in any kind of an import and export business. This really helps build this webinar. My goal and my aim is to help you understand the situation and to give you a little perspective about what's happening and to raise the curtain to help you see what's going on behind the scenes so that from a logistics and shipping perspective so that you can understand the gravity of the situation. And at the end, like I'm going to shuffle through good news and bad news. So first is going to be bad news and then I'm going to move into a good news. So I would ask everyone to feel feel okay about it. If you're not going to, it's not all bad news. It's great news at the end. So this news will help you to understand and navigate this situation much better. You will have some tools, you will have some idea about how situation and how would you be able to build resilience for your business. So that would be my aim for this webinar. My name is Atif. I am the CMO of Al Sharqi. We've been operating in UAE for the last 36 years. We're uh, all homegrown UAE business, just like yourself. We've been based out of UAE and we were born from UAE, and we've been operating since 1989 actually. So we've been purely in logistics and supply chain. So for me, to give you an idea about the logistics infrastructure and everything, how would you navigate the situation? It's my pleasure and my privilege to give you an idea. So I would, if everyone is in, then I can jump into the visual aid and go on with the webinar. So we're good.
Yes, Atif, I
Yeah,
think we should just
that's
continue. There's around
awesome.
14 people attendees so far, and I mean, people
Okay.
will stream out as we continue.
All right.
15 now,
Sounds good.
so let's continue. Yeah.
Cool. So, great. Let's go towards. All right. So this session we're gonna build up. We're gonna have these things that we're gonna touch upon. We're gonna have give you a little. We're gonna set the stage, give you a little context of the crisis, how it escalated, what impact does it has on energy and industry beyond in energy, and then we're gonna go into how that crisis, how the crisis has impacted the maritime and the air aviation, the lifeline or the supply chain lifeline of any business in the region, and then some strategic and contingency planning, some resilience building things that will help you, some tools to help you to navigate and move through this crisis, and then some long-term perspective actually. So let's set the stage up. Let's understand why the Strait of Hormuz and why does it matter actually. So since the start of this crisis, we have a Strait of Hormuz block, and Strait of Hormuz is a vital uh, passageway for all movement of goods from Persian Gulf. It connects Persian Gulf to the Gulf of Oman. 20 billion million barrels of oil pass per day through this passageway, and then on top of that, there is LNG, gas movement as well, especially from Qatar and UAE, that transit that takes this passageway. So your major oil and gas movement happens, and this is not just for the region; it's for the globe. It's 20% of the global energy demand. So that's why something like this, where there is a shock in the system, the ripple effect is felt all across the globe actually. Along with that, there is byproducts of oil and gas, which is fertilizer, petrochemical, feedstock, and these also got disrupted. Again, building up the stage, building up the the setting and giving you a context about this thing. 20% of the world oil and gas flows through this. These are mostly carried through oil tankers and through this passage. Um, it's really affecting a lot of other businesses all across the region, and it kind of engulfed the whole region into this situation. If you can see that it was not just one country, it was the whole region that was kind of engulfed into the situation. So we have the whole of Middle East actually in that, and we have this the biggest choke point, which is the Strait of Hormuz. That is where the whole the situation right now which you see is the problem actually. So disruption didn't just extend to oil and gas. It went beyond the energy industry. If you see around 3600 HS code, which is basically a way of saying 3600 products were affected from many industries like automotive, electronics, pharma, and these supply chain bottleneck were caused because of the block and the standstill situation of Strait of Hormuz. Shipping capacity got reduced, and that really sent basically it sent a whole shockwave, supply chain shockwave, especially the supply shockwave, all across Far East Asia, Southeast Asia, Europe, and North America. So the whole globe is feeling the ripple effect, the supply shocks of it. Along with that, there has been, a a higher price on your landed goods. If you're part of a manufacturing business which is importing any goods from outside, you could see your landed cost has all of a sudden increased. And one of the reason is because if you see the graph right now, which is on your screen, there were 141 at the peak of pre-crisis, 141 vessels transiting through to Strait of Hormuz every day, and that included your tankers, that included your container vessels, multiple other vessels. But right now, in this situation, when we're talking about the first few weeks of the situation, only 3 to 4 were moving, and then it went to a standstill. So it was really, you could see the real jump actually. Like all of a sudden, things just moved actually, right? Like you are at a situation where your things have just come to a standstill, and then on top of that there was a $2,000 on a 20-foot container surcharge that increased your landed cost, and on a 40-foot there was a $3,000 surcharge on a 40-foot for any imports that come in. So it kind of really affected your day-to-day business for any imports. So this is just adding to the gravity of the situation to help you understand that there was a ripple effect and a trickle down effect that caused a little bit of the prices that you see. It escalated because of that actually, because the shipping lines were trying to they won't want to come into the region, and they charged an emergency surcharge on that. So dry bulk cargo like coal, iron ore, grains, they were delayed. Trades, trade flow was stopped. So this was the situation. This is the situation. And if you see the whole um, the ports all across inside the Strait of Hormuz, everything was stopped actually. Everything, the ports they were not receiving vessels actually. No one was able to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. So that way it kind of choked the whole ports. And the ports were operational, but at the same time they were not able to receive vessels coming in through the Strait of Hormuz actually. So, but the only uh, vessels or the ports that were operational were outside the Strait of Hormuz. A similar capacity shock was also felt in the airspace as well, the aviation sector. Major airlines reduced capacity, international airlines reduced their capacity into the region, and that was partly due to the risk that was involved at the start, and at the same time, if you could see, the whole airspace was blocked. So if you see pre-crisis, everything was moving in transit. It was a zigzag going in and out of the region. It was going over Iran, Iraq. Everything was moving all across. But then post-crisis, it created a vacuum actually that the airlines were supposed to take a longer route. They were only able to take the airspace that was allowed to them, and that was partly the issue that you see the capacity reduced. Many international airlines reduced their flights and everything to manage the situation better, actually. So this created a longer route, which kind of created a requirement for higher uh, energy, aviation fuel. If you see, the aviation fuel was actually the aviation fuel demand was increasing, and at the same time, the prices for aviation fuel was increasing because the 20% of the byproduct of the crude oil is aviation, and 20% of the world demand is done through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's why this problem was further escalated. And you see right now the diesel prices and the aviation fuel cost is rising. Um, so far, what I've tried to paint the picture is to help you understand the gravity of the situation, to understand how the situation, how large the situation was. But now let me turn the mood and bring some positive notes to this discussion. That yes, all of those problems were there, but there is a resilient and there is the positive side of things as well. So as soon as, if you see, the crisis happened on 28th of February, we have seen the air capacity come back to 75% at the end of the first month. So that means that this region has moves really fast in terms of building resilience in this region. So when you see the flights coming down, then all of a sudden you see by the end of the month, 75% of the capacity coming back to the normal. That just gives you a little bit of confidence that this region really acts fast, moves fast, and takes initiatives to bring things back. And to just to add on, just 2 days ago, what I've heard about from the Dubai Airport CEO is that the 100% capacity is back for Emirates Airline actually. So we are in a positive right now in the thing where capacity is not going to be an issue actually. So any supplies that needs to come in by air, it would come in. And then on top of that, we have air plus the road feeder services. That really helps us. So in future scenario where something happens, there is an up and down. This region is still very, very resilient to those up and downs because now any airline, let's say, if you bring in your cargo or your shipments in through Muscat, you can feed them into UAE through Muscat with the road feeder service crossing the border and coming into UAE. So all of these road feeder services are available for all GCC countries from all the airports that are still outside the aerospace restriction zone actually. So you have all of these inputs coming in. If in any case, in anything goes up and down actually. On the ocean side, we have seen a lot of uh, the ports that are outside the Strait of Hormuz become the lifeline of the countries actually. For instance, for UAE, Khorfakan and Fujairah really stepped up and they really provided port, a gateway port experience where all the cargo was feeding in through these ports and delivering into the UAE. And further beyond that, you have seen the GCC emergency crisis team comprised of all the ministers and all the main high level decision makers. They had got together and they had opened up and brought in a lot of initiative that really helped in to ease up the supply chain issues across the ocean part of it. You have Oman, Sohar and Salalah acting as the gateway ports into the GCC. Then you have From the Saudi side, you have Jeddah, King Abdulaziz, and even Aqaba routing in cargo from these gateway ports into the GCC. So you have a multiple of these gateway ports that are feeding in cargo via ocean all across the GCC up until the north of Middle East of Iraq and places like that. So the resilience in ocean freight has, and I got to give the credit where it's due. The top level government initiatives and all of the the cross government initiatives have really put this thing together actually and really eased up the supply chain issues on the ocean part as well. Excuse me. So on the road side, actually, we also seen some further initiatives by the road side. Actually, we have seen the borders, the border services easing up rules and regulation to to allow trucks to move freely into the thing. Just to give you an example, actually, previously, pre-crisis, empty trucks of UAE were not supposed to go into Oman, but with this new green trade corridor, empty trucks were able to go into Oman to get the cargo for UAE from Oman ports into the UAE. So the green corridor, Oman green corridor, um, those things really eased up the border pressure. And then there was a TIR solution that was put in place. Actually, a TIR is an international is a part of IRU, International Road Union, which is a global organization that brings in these kind of solution that really helps enable the movement of goods via road all across through the borders. So with this TIR, the basic uh, idea behind the TIR is that any shipment that comes in, let's say, for example, let's take the scenario of a Corfocan, a shipment that is bound for Kuwait, but comes into Corfocan. With this TIR seal, you could take the cargo, transit through the Goefat border, the Sela border, and the seal will not be opened. All the borders that are in between UAE and Kuwait, they will not touch the seal, and the seal will only be open at the final border entry. That is your Kuwait. So this really helps us to maintain a fast track to move goods all across the region faster and effectively and efficiently. On top of that, you have the transit custom rules that were put in place. That means that your duties and taxes were deferred towards the final entry point, final destination. Let's say your entry point is in Jeddah, but you can defer your duties and taxes in UAE border through the transit custom procedures. So that way, this really helped us to really ease up the pressure that was building up at these borders, and all of this thing was possible with the help of all the GCC committees that were sitting together, getting feedback from the private sectors like us, and we as logistics and supply chain experts were helping them to give them ideas of how things can be improved and how things can be made better with these kind of solutions. So a lot of initiatives have been put in place, and this just tells you about the resilience of the region and the quick action that was taken by the region on these things. Couple of other perspectives to how to build more resilience in your supply chain is that if you can look into diversifying your sourcing country. Let's say if you're just focused on just one country for your supplies, you should be looking at diversifying your supplies to tier 1 and tier 2 countries. And these countries would be something, if you have the option to insource, that's amazing. You should look into that. And if you still have to rely on any international countries, I would suggest that focus on countries that have close proximity to the region. So these are a couple of things that you should be doing. Moving away your supply chain from just in time, where everything happens on the dot and it works like one after another in a sequence. You should always look. You should now look into a just-in-case situation where just in case this happens, I should be able to do this. Just in case that happened, I should be able to do that. So that methodology requires you to either have plan B and plan C in place, and that means storing your goods, ordering additional quantity from your suppliers, and storing these goods for your just in case situation. Um, Overall, let's look at from the long term perspective, like what would happen in from a long term perspective. Let's from looking at it from we don't know when things are going to move towards positive or negative. We don't know, we can't predict that, and it would be silly for us to just say that we would be able to predict something like that. But we should always be prepared, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. That's the ideology and the thing that we should focus on. um, if you're thinking about the fact that I just want to clear the air about another thing, that things move towards positive, it will still take 3 to 6 months for things to come back to its natural balance and natural position. The prices which is in the air or ocean will not come back the next day to its original pre-crisis level. We have to be very realistic about this, that usually if you look back during COVID time as well, actually, we had seen that things came back into its natural position only after 3 to 6 months. So being very realistic about this thing is also will help you understand and develop your supply chain, and with that mindset that 3 to 6 months you should estimate that things will come back to its normal position, and that mindset will help you develop strategies to navigate this situation better. Just to end up this session, just want to give you a bit more about Al Sharqi. Al Sharqi is a 36-year-old company. We have been moving goods since 1989. We have all in services all across custom clearance, warehousing, distribution, e-commerce, and we move goods via air, ocean, and land all across. And with this situation, we have been moving goods through Oman, Sohar, Salalah, through Korfakan, and to other regions. And that is why it for me to give you a very ground level perspective of how things are moving. I would be very happy to answer any questions if you have any questions about, and if time permits, if time doesn't permit, you can still email it to us, send us an email, and I'll be happy to answer your questions on that side. And that would mark the end of the session. Over to you, Christine.
Thank you. Thank you, Atif. Thank you so much for the comprehensive, feedback. So anyone who has any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. So, okay, so we have someone. Let me, Dima, you can unmute yourself now.
Yeah, thank you so much. Just wanted to ask, first of all, thank you so much for the presentation. It's very clear and comprehensive. Just wanted to ask
Appreciate it.
about the increase in logistics prices. Definitely prices have gone up, but what is the approximate percentage of the increase? Is it like by 50%, doubled, or it's not really clear yet, or is it fluctuating?
No, I
I'd
can
like
I
to
can
understand about that.
Yes, let's break this problem down into two things. Let's say from an air perspective, the biggest contribution to the air side prices that have increased is your supply and demand. Actually, the supply reduced with the airline. The international airlines uh, reduced their flights into the region, and then on top of that, you just have the national carriers from a capacity supply perspective. And then on top of that, you still had demand actually, and the demand is mostly if you balance supply and demand, the prices have increased, and that price increase is only favorable to high value cargo. Same thing, same logic if you bring it down to the ocean part of it actually. The ocean part, again, you have additional trucking cost, right? So you have the freight cost, which is obviously because we can't come into Jebel Ali. We have to come into gateway ports, which is your Fujairah, Corfacad, Sohar, Salalah, and Jeddah, King Abdulaziz. So these are your gateway ports. So the cargo is shifting from to these places, and on top of that, it's still a region which is considered by the shipping line as a war zone. So they are charging a surcharge on each container on that $2,000 and approximately $3,000 for a 40-foot container. So that is further reduced if you go towards, let's say, if you're bringing in your cargo from Jeddah, the price that surcharge is around $800 if I'm not wrong. So you see there, the further you go away from the Strait of Hormuz, the further the surcharge is less. But at the same time, the distance between Jeddah to bringing into UAE is more.
Is more, yeah.
Right? So that kind of situation is building up this price where we, if you want to pinpoint in a percentage wise, I haven't approximately, but I could give you easily 20 to 30% price have increased. I can
In general,
easily,
in all general
in
logistics.
exactly. And
So,
that's the reality right now that it is
of course, yeah, of course. Thank you. That basically takes me to the next question, which is,
yeah.
I used to import goods through Jebel Ali port. Now, what is the basis for me to choose which which port
Port.
I should approach in order to just have the same goods to be shipped to Dubai or Abu Dhabi? Is it depending on the shipping company? I mean, from where the goods are coming from, or what is the criteria? You mentioned
What's the
several
criteria? Yeah.
gateways, Khorfakan, Fujairah, Suhar. How can I choose which one?
Correct. So I think previously it was a very simple answer. It was like just bring in your goods from into Jebel Ali or bring in your goods into Abu Dhabi. It was a simple answer. You can still do that. The shipping line would give you the full solution end to end into Jebel Ali. But then the cost, if you want to find out more cost advantage in that solution, you need to unbundle it. Okay, if you unbundle it, then you will find some price advantage for yourself. But if you just let the whole thing be done by the shipping line to bring it to Jebel Ali, it will be at that level of price that you are right now currently facing. But if you unbundle it, you see that okay, maybe I don't need to bring it into. I can. It's two-pronged answer for me. First is I want to see if I want to maintain regular services, regular predictability in my supply chain, then I would bring in items from maybe that situation that is far away from the problem, that is from possibly from Jeddah or from Sohar Salala, because they are a little far away from the situation, and I can route, if the cargo is routed through there, I can have predictability in my supply chain. But if it is just one-time shipment, then I would suggest that even via Corfacon, or you can just say to the shipping line, just bring it to me from Jebel Ali. And right now, this is a very good question because it really tells you the intensity and the variability of things that are on the plate right now. You have so many variables to check your prices
Exactly.
based on,
That's
actually,
why it's
right?
confusing. Yes.
And it is previously it was a very simple answer, but now it is that all these variables are in place, and how do you find the variable that is most suiting based on predictability? That is either it's based on your preference. Is it based on predictability or
No,
is it
are
based
they
on
all
cost?
available? I mean,
Yes,
is
yes,
Khorfakan is available as
it
because
is
I
for
know that
imports.
there's some pressure on the lots of goods are now being imported or exported through the open
The
ports
Corsican
now.
and the Fujairah, the gateway ports of UAE, actually. Yes, and they're mostly prioritized for food and pharmaceutical goods, and
Exactly.
especially for the imports, actually. So for anyone looking at the export side of things, you have multiple variables available. Actually, we ourselves have been routing our goods through Corsican, through Sohar, Salalah, crossing the border and exporting it out from these ports, actually. So for us, the variables that we look at it is that predictability, when is the next vessel available, how early the goods are going to be ready on an export side. On the import side, I mean, it's the price and
It's import, yeah.
on the price and on the fact that when the vessel is. You're so right. Vessels at the Corsican port are waiting in line for their berthing,
Exactly.
and they are not they're like because it's the bottleneck is the port at the moment. We were put in this situation where the capacity had to increase all of a sudden overnight,
Exactly.
and it's just taking time to increase its capacity. But yes, the current situation is right now in that
And
congestion
why did you
we are.
mention Jabal Ali? Is Jabal Ali available?
Jabal Ali is available. Yes, it is available. The lines are doing it. So if you want to do, let's say you want to bring in your items from anywhere in Europe, actually, yes, you can do it till Jabal Ali. The shipping line will handle the whole thing till the end, but obviously that's a
The
premium
price.
because the price would be at a premium actually. So
Okay, so,
as I
so
said, you need to unbundle it to find
yeah,
out the
yeah.
cost advantage.
So yeah, for more specific questions, maybe I can take it offline because I
Sure.
still have more detailed questions about this. But thank you so much for this the general answer.
No issues. No
Thank
issues.
you.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so I'll hand it over to Anuj. Anuj has raised his hand for a while now. I've already muted you, Anuj. Feel free to go.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Anuj. I look after supply chain for IPAC. We are an aseptic packaging company. So basically, we serve to dairies and juice companies as a raw material to them. So, Atif, my question to just adding to point what you said, I understand that the port is congested. We understand because port was not designed to handle the Jebel Ali and Abu Dhabi traffic. But what we see once the container reaches to the port also, the alignment of the transportation from Korfakan to Abu Dhabi, suppose we are based in Abu Dhabi, is also taking so much of time, meaning
Correct.
that there are less transporters. We see that there are very less suppliers are doing this job. They need a special permit to bring from the Korfakan to Abu Dhabi, and there are charges very high, which are not logically, doesn't satisfy the lending cost, what was considered for these materials. And even though after doing all these things, we are not getting material on time because port congestion. What I know that at the port they don't keep the material; they move to the either to
Saja.
ICD or Sajja
I see. Saja,
or
yes.
all these locations. But after that, when our truck drivers or the forwarders who reaches there, they need to find out the containers among 5,000, 10,000 containers lying there. So what I see or what we know is that the way the Abu Dhabi or Jebel Ali was designed to look after the containers to get in faster on the trucks is not happening. This is impacting us on a detention more than the shipping line also now. Okay, and we are getting detention from the transporters because the containers are not loaded on time from the ICDs.
From the
So my question
ICDs,
is
yes.
that how can Al Sharawi Group can support us, or do you have any channels to work directly with this uh, ports or particularly for this ICDs?
No, I mean, look, everyone is in this situation together. No one is beyond the situation. If a transporter is having that problem, we as a transport company would also have the same problem because it's an infrastructure problem. It's not something that is, I would say that we would be able to wave a magic wand and change that. No. The situation, you're so right in that thing. The situation right now is previously it's the whole cargo from Corfacan and Fujairah. From Fujairah, you have rail options coming into Abu Dhabi to, and the I can just tell you a little bit gravity of the situation. What is really what good things have come in. The good thing that has come in actually is that the port authorities of Abu Dhabi and the port authorities of Jebel Ali, which is DP World, and in that in Abu Dhabi it is Abu Dhabi port, they have taken upon themselves to take the cargo from Korfakan and from Fujairah and move it into Jebel Ali respectively and Abu Dhabi port respectively. For GT line, which is the Gulf liner that is handled by Korfakan, they move all the balance cargo which is bound for Sharjah or which is bound for other emirates. They move it immediately into Sharjah ICD, as you said. This is this is the situation right now. The trucks are at a huge line in Korfakan. The line extends easily up to 5 kilometers easily. We face that on a day-to-day basis. Shipping lines are overburdened with replying on time. We have been sending repeated message, and the situation is because when we were thrown into this situation, and in the early days, it was no one had a very clear answer. No one had faced something similar in the past before. Um, it was all we were all trying to manage this thing. So things have become better. Things have become a little bit smoother, but we still face these kind of detention because we are still handling the backlog of the old of the old problems. Actually, some containers for, let's say, GCC are dropped into Korfakan. Still, some containers for UAE that was bound for UAE are dropped in Jeddah, and they're still in Jeddah right now. We still haven't cleared those backlog actually, right? So we're still in that backlog phase. Still haven't cleared that problem. So once those problem gets cleared, I see in the coming, if things do not improve, I see that maybe the backlogs will get done, and then only we'll see some positive improvements in terms of systematic way of because how Jebel Ali was designed, that you had a token, you had your allotted time for a truck to go in, get your cargo, and get out, step out. The same thing is not available at the other ICDs. So they are ramping up their systems. They are ramping up their things, and it's an infrastructure problem. And unfortunately, I no one can solve that thing. Only the infrastructure owners can solve that problem. I hope I answered that question, Mr. Anuj.
Yeah, you tried it, but to be honest with you, now it's 2 months in this situation, and what we see, this is going to be the normal routine, looks like. So it has to be faster solved because, as what Dima said, we are incurring the cost, which we can handle as a manufacturing companies, we can handle for couple of months, a quarter. But then it has to be streamlined, or we need to understand what is the process ahead. I mean, we cannot keep on, manage the manufacturing companies like this, where the material is coming in, lying in the port for 10 days, not getting on the trucks. I mean, it's not a trading companies. Trading is different.
Correct.
But this is
Correct.
where, the ports have to look into on a priority base, or forwarders like you need to support, or something has to be done. That's what we feel. Okay.
I agree.
I know it's not in your hands also, not in my hands also, but now it is getting into a normal routine like this.
Now, it's one assurance that I can give from a perspective and from and looking at the whole perspective from an outside and inside as well. I've seen a lot of initiatives been taken over, solved, as I mentioned in that the land transportation, the border, the green corridor, the transit custom rule. All of these quick actions were taken. So I mean, for those issues as well, I feel the actions are in place, and they are going to come in because all the government sectors, everyone from the top level, they really are engaging with the private sector. The other day, Dubai Customs have this e-Majlis, and the Majlis at their head office, where you can just walk in with your problem if you're Dubai based, and you can just talk to them about anything, and it's a walk-in thing. So the similar thing, Abu Dhabi Chamber, and right now in Middle East, make it in Middle East, things are there. there are certain initiatives taken by the Abu Dhabi Customs, Abu Dhabi Chambers that will really ease up your problems for the time being, because they have implemented, they're thinking about implementing some 30 to 60 days deferred duty as well, or 90 days. Some initiatives have been said. I don't quote me on that. I was just reading the news the other day, yesterday. I think there's these initiatives are put in place to ease up these problems for manufacturing, for other business sectors that really are the lifeline of the country.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Atif. Just I have a question.
Yes.
When you talked about unbundling, like let's say you have, let's say even imports and exporting your goods, and let's say my goods are supposed to go into Africa, and I'm
Mhm.
supposed to unbundle this option because initially I was using Al Shaki to do my whole logistics, but now it's too expensive. How can that look like? How does that look like from your
So
experience?
from my experience, so look, so the unbundling thing, the logic behind is that if I, because I, as a logistics or a freight forwarder, so for us to understand the unbundling, we need to understand the roles and the value chain players. So the value chain players are your freight forwarders, the trucking company, the custom agent, and the shipping line or the airline that is giving the freight, the infrastructure, the aviation infrastructure, or the vessel infrastructure from the port to the destination port. So you got to understand the value chain players actually. And as unbundling, what you want to do is, if you do the solution from the infrastructure provider, which is the let's say the shipping line, they would give you a standardized solution from end to end, and you would be able to do that. A freight forwarder, what it would do is that he would take the whole value chain player, he would unbundle them. Instead of doing it with the shipping line, he would just use the shipping line for the movement of goods from the port to port. He would use the trucking company to do that, and then he would use the custom agent, and he would find value in all across those value chain. So for that, you need to either you need to work with an integrated solution provider. You need to have infrastructure provider that can give you the whole chain, because the problem right now is, if you understand, everyone is doing a service which is via another person. If I am um, let's say, if I am a trucking company, I'm approaching you. I do not have people do not have that asset. What they are doing is they are going out in the market, and they are getting assets provider actually. But a provider like us, an integrated solution provider, and like DP World and other players, they have their own assets on the ground. So they have their own trucks, they have their own custom clearance, they have their own team. So for that, they can give a little bit of control, but at the same time, they can give you the flexibility of choosing which shipping lines is best in terms of reliability, in terms of flexibility. For instance, from Sohar, CMA CGM and MSC are more reliable. From Salala, Maersk is more reliable. From Korfakan, you got the GT lines, they are more reliable. So you have to have these kind of visibility from the ground level. And if you have that, then you would be able to make a better decision. So unbundling for me is that actually. What I mean by
It's
unbundling
having
is that
visibility,
is
yeah,
having the
and
visibility on the ground level to choose and to have that control,
which is what Al Shaki does, yeah?
which is what Al-Sharqi does. We have our own
Okay.
trucks, trailers, warehouses, distribution solutions all across UAE, and we do custom clearance from Abu Dhabi, Korfakan, Fujairah, Dubai, Jebel Ali, Sharjah. So all of this thing adds into the service that we can provide to the clients.
Okay. So, I mean, on that separate note, so maybe our SMEs who are very, I know IPAC is big on this, and I'm not sure how they're doing their whole logistics, but maybe they can reach out to the contact that Mr. Tiff has put on the
On the
slide.
screen.
I know
Yes.
Dima asked, how can I ask more detailed questions offline? So it's through this number, yeah, Tiff,
Yes.
and the email address. Okay,
Yes.
so you should be
So
able to reach them through that.
And there is a WhatsApp. The QR code is also a WhatsApp. So if you want to reach us, we will be able to help you out on the WhatsApp. But if you want to reach me directly, just ask for me. I would be happy to get on a call. My team will give you the number, and I would be happy to get on a call and to discuss with you some ground level things we have identified that would really help you to navigate this thing better, actually. And if any case, it's just knowledge sharing. I would be happy to share my knowledge, share whatever we have faced, so that you can skip those experiences and directly go to the solution.
Makes sense. So thank you so much for your time and for clarifying that. I don't see any other hands raised. So with that, we'll wrap up the session. Thank you for giving us a detailed overview of the situation so far. I mean, we're still figuring things out, and as you said, it would take maybe
Yes,
3 to 6 months for things to go back to maybe some new normal. So we're just
correct.
hoping for the best and just trying to share the knowledge on how people can survive this season and build their resilience as they push forward to continue their business operations.
I would just
And
ask at the end, I would just say that keep faith in the fact that we bounced back harder as a UAE. We bounced back harder when it was COVID. So you can expect similar things. And the reason is because I was born and brought up in UAE. So I have been living in UAE for the longest time of my life. And I can tell you, uh, yes, problems happen. We take actions fast. We are more resilient, and then on top of that, we bounce back harder. So for me, just to end this on that note, that just keep faith on the fact that UAE always bounce back harder. So wait for that and keep the resilience up at the moment.
yes, that's a good way to wrap it up. Anything is possible in the UAE, so let's keep up
Yes,
those good spirits and inshallah everything will be okay at the end of it. So thank you
absolutely.
all. I'll just go ahead and close the session. Thank you for your time.